Over the last 30 years, the Toyota 1000 Desert Race has developed into the biggest social and sporting event of the year in Botswana. Organized by the Four-Wheel Drive Club of Southern Africa, the race this year celebrated its 30th anniversary, with race headquarters and the designated service park again situated at the village of Kumakwani, 25 kilometers northwest of Gaborone. Small entrepreneurs were doing a roaring trade, and Botswana Tourism Chief Executive Mara Sekogororoane outlines the importance of the Toyota 1000 Desert Race to Botswana and the local communities.
The people look forward to it. You know, there are various benefits to the community in Kumakwani and surrounding areas along the route to Gaborone and to the business community, especially the small and medium scale operators as well, because we do a survey every year. So we say that with confidence that the weekend or the time period that the race takes place, there's a lot of money and across the board, not just big businesses, but small operators. But the people enjoy it as well. They really, really do enjoy it. Our hotels are full, as I say, the little guest houses, and those are the kind of benefits that have got very long-term effect on our people and our businesses.
The Toyota 1000 Desert Race has also forged links with major Botswana organizations like telecoms giant Mascom.
We've been involved with the Toyota Desert Race for a number of years now, but we formalized the relationship in 2009. It's the biggest race in Botswana. We're the leading network, so you know we've been happy with the relationship, and we look forward to continuing to support it for a number of years to come.
The Toyota 1000 Desert Race is the only marathon event on the Absa Off-Road Championship calendar, and after the Friday Donaldson Prologue to determine start positions, Saturday's racing selection provided for plenty of drama. The Prologue was dominated by the two Team Castrol Toyota Hilux entries in the hands of Anthony Taylor with Chris Birkin and Duncan Foss with Rob Howie. Taylor and Birkin won the Prologue by 15 seconds ahead of Foss and Howie to get Toyota off to a flying start in their search for a first Desert Race win since 1999.
There was an early change at the front of the field, with Duncan Foss and Rob Howie moving into the lead when Anthony Taylor and Chris Birkin took a wrong slot. Taylor and Birkin quickly recovered to put pressure on Foss and Howie, and what followed was a bizarre incident. Foss and Howie pulled over to let Taylor and Birkin back into the lead, only to see their sister car end up on its roof right in front of them.
Early morning breakfast in the bush while the aerodynamically rearranged Castrol Toyota Hilux of Anthony Taylor and Chris Birkin was back on four wheels, now running ahead of the Team Ford Ranger TDCI of reigning South African production vehicle champions Chris Visser and Jappie Badenhorst. Visser and Badenhorst were second on this event last year in a Toyota Hilux and joined the Ford factory team in the off-season. A lone podium was the best result so far for the Ford crew, who were being chased by the Atlas Copco Toyota Hilux of Gary Bodolf and Andre Vermeulen. The father and son pair of Hugo and Jaap de Bruin were also running strongly in the Micro Excel Toyota Hilux, with as steady as ever Terence Marsh and George Smallberger holding down a solid top 5 place in the production vehicle category in the Regent Racing Nissan Navara.
The international Toyota Hilux, crewed by veterans Jannie Visser and Joks Leroux, was making steady progress. Visser and Leroux were running just ahead of fellow Northwest Province pair Malcolm Koch and Johan Berger in the Koch & Sons Toyota, with both teams reveling in familiar conditions. Also familiar with the conditions were the Rustenburg-based father and son combination of Willem and Dana Vos in the Vossies Toyota Hilux. They were looking to put an end to a run of 3 non-finishers and went past the RFS BMW of last year's winners Hannes Grobler and Henny Terstegen, and a solid performance would see them home in 8th place in the production vehicle category at the overnight stop.
Matters were not going so smoothly for Christian de Plooy and Henk Janse van Vieren in the RFS BMW X3. A bent prop shaft meant that they only had 2-wheel drive, and the Pretoria pair lost time bogged down in a muddy section of the first 2 loops that made up the route on Racing Section 2. It was also an unhappy day for Duncan Foss and Rob Howie, with fuel pressure problems gradually dropping the second factory Castrol Toyota Hilux down the race order. By contrast, Botswana pair Osman Sadiq and Kassim Dada were having a good run in a Nissan Navara, while behind them, championship contenders Mike Whitehouse and Matthew Carlson were also having a tough time of it in the second Regent Racing Nissan Navara. There was more drama when Production Vehicle Championship leaders Thomas Rundle and Johan Moore ran into mechanical problems in the Bowden Tyre Services Nissan Navara. That was the end of their day, with the top two teams in the championship struggling.
It was a short day for teenager Lance Woolridge and Ward Huxtable with a power steering problem putting paid to the second factory Team Ford Ranger. The growing casualty list also included Peter Ruthven and Willie Brits with the Rubicon Toyota Hilux suffering power steering failure.
Toyota for life.
Botswana enthusiasts enjoy their motorsport and give all the competitors a warm welcome. Enjoyment is also the key word for the father and son team of Jack and Sardel Oosthuizen, with the Land Rover pair running at the front of Class D. Chasing after the Oosthuizens were the two N1 4x4 Toyota Land Cruisers of Louis Weichelt with Francis Boschma and Cliff Weichelt with Johan Smallberger. Cliff Weichelt had travelled all the way from Australia to join son Louis in the race. Behind the Weichelts, a steady drive had taken Piet Kotze and Solomon Victor to the front of Class E in a Toyota Hilux, with the pair followed by teenagers Jason Venter and Vincent van Alleman in the 4x4 Mega World Toyota Hilux.
On the special vehicle front, former South African champion Evan Hutchison and Dani Stassen took the lead 2 kilometres from the finish. The Motorride Revo eased past the elegant fuel bat of reigning South African champions Cully and Quinton Sulwald, with only 18 seconds separating the two cars. Third were Johan van Staden and James Rousseau, with just on 10 minutes between the Motorride Revo and the Atlas Copco Bat. 3-time desert race winners Shamir Variawa and Siegfried Rousseau were looking for a 4th successive victory and had a good day to finish 4th in the Varigo Bat. It was also a good day for Brett Parker and Andrew van Sale, who finished 5th in Class A in the Sizanani Jimco, with the pair followed home by the Cobalt Racing Porter of Jimmy Zahos and Stefan Kutsio. Championship contenders Herman and Vichard Sulwald had a tough day in the Sulwald Racing SVR with rear suspension problems that had them dancing all over the road. The unfortunate pair also lost time when wheel nuts broke while they were changing a tyre after a puncture.
Brothers David and Gary White were plagued by fuel pressure problems throughout the day, with the Rubicon Bat crew happy to see out the distance. There was a steady run from Jacques Wheeler and Philip Hasselman in the Orange Works Bat, and behind them, Naim Mosaji finished the day on his own in the Maxis Tyre Rack Porter, after co-driver Rayon Bodhanya had taken ill at the 15-minute stop at the end of the first loop. Broken CV joints delayed the Boetes for food bat of Bula Boetes and Johan Pretorius, while the White Star Racing bat of local driver Keith Toy and Ashley Thorne was a casualty with engine problems.
Another impressive performance from Archie Rutherford and Mike Lawrenson saw the Regent Racing crew comfortably ahead of the Class P brigade. The local enthusiasts sometimes find vantage points that look a little precarious, but they stayed aloft long enough to see rookie driver Richard Fuller and Jeff Minnett take a hold on 2nd place in Class P in the Atlas Copco Bat. The experienced Minnett is a former desert race winner, with the Atlas Copco pair running ahead of Nick Gosler and Andre Massey in a Men's Health International Zarko, which was sounding a little rough. Behind Gosler and Massey, the Swaziland pair of John Thompson and Clinton McNamara joined the list of non-finishers with broken CV joints on the Zarko Magnum, consigning them to an early shower.
It was tough going for Class B competitors, with Kutsia Labuskaghni and daughter Sandra early casualties in their race Sonic Zarko. In cricket parlance, the scorers were also untroubled by brothers Keith and Andre Meganete, who failed to see out the distance in another Zarko.
Beautiful African sunset signaled the end of the day. It was time for crews to take center stage. After 500 kilometers of hard racing, men and machinery had taken a battering. The task for crews was to get their chargers ready for the final day of the Toyota 1000 Desert Race, and for some it meant working into the wee hours of the morning.
That was a lot of work, you know. It's 500 k's through all this thick bush and thick sand. I think you saw the leading car come in around about 3:30 in the afternoon. It's a long race just for the leader, so it's a tough event. It takes it out on the cars. You know, we always compare our races to the Dakar Rally and things like that, but our races are a lot more tight and tricky and demanding than the actual Dakar itself. The Dakar is longer, but our races are very tight and twisty and very hard on the vehicles, very demanding on both the vehicle and the driver-navigator combination. So it's a really tough event, and probably be the toughest event in the season.
It was another icy cold evening, but there was activity throughout the pits. For some crews, there's extra workload, and in factory teams like Ford and Toyota, huge attention is paid to the detail.
We won't strip it down completely, but we'll check all the major components, all the little things that we've known over the years that give us, maybe trip us up. We also have a mileage on every single part, so there'll be some parts that we know after so many kilometers of racing we need to change that part, so we'll change those parts, and generally just go through the whole vehicle from bumper to bumper as long as it takes. If we work all night, so be it.
At the overnight halt, Hutchison and Stassen led the special vehicle category ahead of Cully and Quinton Sewald, with the factory Castrol Toyota of Anthony Taylor and Chris Birkin leading the Atlas Copco Toyota of Gary Berthold and Andre Vermeulen in the production vehicle category.